Welcome to Bon Mots, where we'll be applying the Manzer or Mosi Thurlow scale of quantitative analysis of pop culture narrative to a binary system.
Or Mots!
This podcast contains spoilers, mature content, and language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome back to the Lost Signals movie reviews. Tonight we're doing one of the Oscar Best Picture contenders, Phantom Thread. And by the way, we've been actually fairly poor in picking out this year what could potentially be Best Pictures.
We've been okay, but not great.
Yeah, I mean, we got most of the for sure things, but the other ones that we watched that we were hoping would sneak in did not.
Yeah, we bet on the locks. So
But Phantom Thread did sneak in.
Yep.
So I'm Jonathan Ian Manzer, here with Rich Perry.
What's up?
Stephen Ramosi.
Hello?
And Scott Thurlow.
hello there.
So we'll start it off with the funny logline. Scott?
Yeah, so we sort of group voted on this one, but we're going to go with 50 Threads of Grey. And you're about to find out why soon enough.
All right, so I'm going to start off with the plot. An eccentric tailor who makes fancy clothing finds his muse in a waitress in some distant village in England.
Out in the country.
Yeah.
English town.
Exactly. He quickly becomes disenchanted with her, and they bond over a shared kink.
A very, very specific one.
Very,
So,
yes.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I think there's, I don't think it was quickly becomes disenchanted with her.
He eventually does, as he has prior
With others,
relations,
yeah.
because he's an eccentric genius.
Right.
There's a book, a biography of Wittgenstein called The Duty of Genius, and I feel that also applies to R.J. Woodcock, played by Daniel Day-Lewis.
Sure.
We're going with R.J. Woodcock.
Yeah.
No
Yes.
one call him Reynolds for the rest
I
of
wasn't
the
gonna.
R.J. Woodcock is a very temperamental, but brilliant designer, sought after by royalty and the noble class.
The aristocrats,
Yes. And so he found a girl who he inspired him, and then eventually over the course of the movie, it wasn't quickly, but it was quickly enough. Her chewing got to upset him,
Yeah.
as I understand, would by personal experience. Anyway, that's all I have for the plot.
That's the plot.
Oh, I guess mushroom was
Mushroom
Involved
Samba
here.
sequence. Sure.
There's a lot of eating scenes. Yeah, it's a. Ooh, should I say it? Yeah, I'm just gonna say it.
Do
It's a somewhat threadbare plot.
Oh.
But a lot of this movie, and I think that the plot is interesting and moves the movie along, does what it needs to do. I'm not going to give it full marks for that, but I think I'll probably give it a 2.
I believe that the narrative is a vehicle for the style.
Absolutely, everything is a vehicle for the style in
Yeah.
this movie.
Damn it, that's what I was going to say. And I kind of okay with that pun there, Steve-O. In general, that's a fine one. And it was sort of meandering, and I think I've taken a break from using that term to plot for. But I think you guys might agree that this one kind of was that. So it's a pretty slow burn, and it's more of a character piece, I guess, right? It's about their relationship, more or less. So it's framed around that. So there's not much plot to it other than the development of the relationship and how it unfolds. So it was fine, but was it super absorbing? Not really. I might give it an okay 2, probably, as you just pretty much said. But that's where I'm looking at.
So they introduce Chekhov's poisonous mushrooms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognized it immediately when they bring it up, and I'm like, it has to have a payoff at one point. And Alma, who is the waitress here, who's living the high life.
R.J. Woodcock's muse.
Yes. I guess gets spurned a little bit and decides to poison R.J. Woodcock.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit, though.
I
tiny
didn't
bit.
at
Just
the
enough,
time.
just
I didn't.
enough to make him need her.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I still feel it's out of character for her. Or it felt like it came out of nowhere.
Mm.
I don't know. I think it was a slow build up to her snapping, because he tells her immediately that he's not the type of person to marry or really have a relationship, and then she just slowly goes mad by.
I think it's a slow burn to a certain point, and then they make a quick leap.
Yeah.
At least that's
fair.
how it felt to
That's
me.
fair.
I don't know.
I agree a bit.
I didn't really feel like it was a leap. It was a strange turn. I will give you that. But I think that everything in the film before that point had led up to that being a turn that made sense to me and was fine.
I guess that one character that one woman that he was having dinner with at that party would have seen it coming. Because apparently everybody from our country does
Her
stuff like that.
aristocratic friend, yeah. His
They
aristocratic
gave signals to her. I guess Reynolds, so I'm not have to say Woodcock constantly.
What's wrong with it?
His character is pretty consistent throughout. And even his weird left turns towards the end with liking being poisoned and taken care of makes sense considering the mother angle there.
Sure. You're right.
That he has an obsession with his mother. The problem is that I don't feel that they built enough upon her crazy. They built upon her, in a sense,
Disenfranchisement.
And being elevated to a lifestyle she wasn't familiar with, and her kind of being an outcast.
You know what?
But I don't see the jump to, I'm going to poison this guy.
I think I see what the jump is. One of their first arguments they have is that he feels that she needs to change her taste, and she's too bullheaded to really go along with the way things are with him completely. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that maybe the poisoning was her way of being like, no, we're not doing it your way all the time. This is me doing.
It's her lashing out, sort of, in a sense.
Again, though, I understand that. It's cool. It's just the act of poisoning someone. She didn't know if it'd be fatal. She's not a doctor. She could have killed this guy.
That's true.
I understand why she did it, but I don't understand
how we got there.
Alma at point A to Alma at point P for poison to Alma. Then their marriage and her reverting to kind of a child that she never was, and then her reverting to
Lady Macbeth.
Exactly.
Sure. I get what you're saying. Well, this is probably more character stuff, but it's certainly it's in the plot.
If the narrative is all about character studies,
absolutely, you're right.
And there's, I feel, a major flaw with the progression of one of the characters.
I think that's a big, not even a nitpick. I think it's beyond a nitpick. I think it's again, it's between a nitpick and a plot hole, I guess I want to say, right? I think we mean there's a little bit of inconsistency there, we'll call it, and maybe more than a little bit. That's why I'm probably giving it a soft 2, certainly not a 3, but not a 1 either. Just that for that and for other various actual smaller nitpick things, I'm going to give the plot a 2, and I think you and I agree on that and largely the same reasons.
I'm going to stick with a 2 as well. But I see what you're saying about Alma, but it wasn't as egregious to me as it seems like it was to you. So anyway, that's where I'm at.
Give it a 2.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 1 because I feel that perhaps at the halfway mark, maybe before that, I started to feel her actions were inconsistent, as I already brought up.
Fair enough.
And that made the rest of the movie at times laughable when it wasn't meant to be, and other times just curious decision making. So,
sure.
A 1.
I feel you.
Rich?
I did laugh a lot at this movie.
More than I expected, I suppose. I'll say that too.
Rich, on to you with themes.
If you don't get your way, just poison the person who's in it.
Poison your way to happiness.
That's more of a moral than a theme,
relationship.
I would say.
It could be both.
Themes, I guess, compromise is a theme. He was so stuck in his ways that he forced the woman that he was living with to poison him.
Well,
I don't know.
Force is a strong word.
Force is a strong word.
He drove her to it.
I guess he drove
Perhaps.
her to with his. Was she not ignoring her, but
well, he's
they're distant.
cruel to her.
They're becoming estranged a bit. Yeah.
He wasn't. I don't even think he was necessarily cruel. I mean, he was cruel when she brought her misgivings up, but she knew exactly what she was getting into when she moved into that house.
Well, he's emotionally cruel, and he's very, very controlling.
Yeah.
So
She even said he might be the most demanding man or something like that in the opening couple minutes of the film. Sure, I mean, like, I was going to go with the thing from Sandman, if anyone remembers this quote. One must either change or die. So they decided to... He even said something like...
So they kind of came to a compromise.
Yes, exactly. I was going to build on that. Exactly, Rich. So, like, I think I'm going to call him Daniel Day Woodcock for now as well, combining. So he says, like, towards the end, when they're having a conversation that, like, he feels like the house is dying or, like, he needs to change something about his life, otherwise he's going to wither away. Like, if something very close to that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I saw that throughout. Like, it was sort of like, it's like, here is a line that encapsulates a theme. I'm like, yes, I get it. Thank you. And it was well delivered. Sure. It was well presented. It wasn't like hammered into your face, but it was like very obviously there. So given that, and for the thing that Rich has said, I think they were both certainly there. And I think the film did a pretty solid job in the script of handling that and portraying it. Like, it was fine. Like, I'm going to give it probably a soft 1. I didn't think it was like failed on its themes. It wasn't trying to go too deeply into too many things either. So,
in a way, and this theme doesn't actually exist in the movie. I'm going to say it anyway. In a way, I feel that who's the director of this?
Paul Thomas
Anderson saw 50 Shades of Grey and said, "I can do this better."
Maybe.
And this is the 50 Shades of Grey for the intelligentsia, for the upper crust. And I think him stripping off the dress from the classless woman is him saying, no, this is how we do pseudo-erotica
We'll do it
and
properly.
relationship studies in actual film. And having watched, we had the 50 Shades Free.
We had the trailer, in fact. So,
things. I actually hope that was his intent. But
I mean, that's funny, but
yeah.
I'm not going to give it points for that, but I do like the argument there.
So that's my 2 cents.
I actually like that theme. I'm going to go with that one.
There's all right. There is this interesting recurring theme of like eating that goes on.
It's more of a
throughout the
motif,
movie.
but sure.
Okay. I mean, like,
I mean, I agree though.
I think it's more than just stylistic, though. I think it fits into the themes of the film.
All right, I'm not. Yeah, sure.
And you know, this just interest that the film has in nourishment of the body and kind of the nourishment of
Emotional nourishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like needing that food eventually, like coming and like being deprived of it, actually, emotionally, while you know coming in on like so many dinner scenes and like so much talking about food and stuff like that. I'm sure there's a lot more intelligent things that can be said than what I'm going to say tonight about this. I'm sure papers will and articles will be written about it, but I think it's a really interesting thing to keep coming back upon, and everything that you guys said are all also, you know, present themes except for the 50 Shades of Grey thing.
Oh no, but if you want to get serious about it, then the hunger aspect, and so
Right.
Daniel Day-Lewis has a very cultured individual, and he distances himself with his culture. He doesn't want to get involved in the wedding. He doesn't want to get involved with anything. He just wants to create.
Yeah.
But what is it? Hunger, thirst. She brings up you're very thirsty at one point too, which is
That's
the time
when
they
go
have sex.
Yeah.
And his sickness. It's all the kind of base emotions, the infantile emotions of like the son with the mother, which is a big theme involving with him too. I think
when he gets sick, he's always in the fetal position.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, true. Good call.
She actually places him in the fetal position to cover him up at one point. So I think there is a lot there that can be said that was intended there.
That's all there.
Yeah, I think a lot of this movie is you're not going to get like, I mean, to some extent you are like kind of hit over the head with the food theme. Or, like you see that there's something there that's keeps being brought up, but it's not obvious in a way, you know, like it's just kind of like, hey, here's a movie, you figure it out, basically. And
on the other hand, they also do the maternal thing with in a way they're talking about breasts a lot, but very much in a kind of from the point of view of a tailor.
Yeah,
the bust
mechanical
size.
almost.
Yeah,
Analytical,
mechanical.
Yeah.
So it's not sexualized, but the idea of the breasts being the nurturing aspect and her having to poison the guy to become the nurturing, which is what he was deprived of with the mother. Freud would like this movie, is all I'm saying.
We should
We
have
should
put
put
Freud
Freud
up.
up there.
Well,
50
anyway.
Shades of Freud.
Yeah.
50 Shades of Freud. Oof.
That's a very good
Freud in a dress.
point that you just brought up, Ian. I was gonna give it a 1 anyway, but I'm gonna give it an even stronger
Yeah,
one.
I think it might.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
You guys both made good points, and I think it's a good case together collectively to give it a pretty strong one on top of what we just said previous to that. So I will.
Steve, on to you with antagonist.
So I think that antagonists and protagonists kind of flow into each other in this because I think that, RJ Woodcock and Alma are both antagonists and protagonists in this movie. And I think that this being a character study, these are really interesting dynamics that you see going back and forth, like one being antagonistic to the other, and then it kind of swaps, and the other, and then Alma poisons him, and then he comes back to like being annoyed with her and is cruel to her again, and then so like it's this interesting like back and forth kind of flow between those. So as antagonists, I think they both do a great job, Now, I'm not going to include Cyril in this. I was thinking about including Cyril in the antagonist role, but I don't think that's really the case.
I don't think that she quite fits. Yeah, I would agree.
She starts as one to Alma,
Right.
but then becomes an ally of
Right.
hers.
Yeah, I think that was a good subversion actually. So I'm definitely saving her for secondary. But you're right. Like maybe like another movie would have like just run with that. But I'm glad this movie didn't.
Yeah, same here.
But I do agree that you're right, Steve-O. And when it comes to me next, I'm probably going to have to say some of the same things. So maybe we'll combine it. But they are certainly. They play off the protagonist-antagonist relationship with each other and swap roles here and there, and that, in fact, sort of like becomes a cornerstone of their stable, quotes, relationship, of them coming to some sort of satisfaction with each other and companionship. So I think they both do a good job of it, and the film does a good job of, like you said, showing both aspects of each as the plot moves forward, as the relationship goes forward in time.
So I agree with everything you said. I'm not going to really say much more about that. I just want to make a comment. Even though I said that Alma was inconsistent, and we're talking about both protagonists and antagonists here, I think that Daniel Day-Lewis actually had a very difficult job with the character he played, because that Woodcock could have been a joke.
He could have been a caricature, kind of, is what you're saying,
but
maybe?
he could have been somewhat overacted in that kind of role.
He's a pretty good actor.
Oh, no, he did. And he did a fantastic job with making what is sort of a cartoonish character very grounded and believable.
I agree. He had those subtleties and nuance to him. Yeah.
And so if I'm going to give 50% to Alma, because I think she did a good job portraying it, even though the character was consistent. Daniel Day-Lewis' character was great, and his acting in that was great. So I'm going to give a 1 to both protagonist and antagonist.
Yep, I'm pretty much doing the same thing. Yeah, because it's sort of like it makes sense and it seems obvious, right? And like you said, they did a good job as both, pretty much, and had a good, like you said, dynamic relationship there.
Yeah.
So,
and I was gonna, if we're already just like plowing right on to protagonist.
Yeah, I mean, kind of one as well.
Yeah, they do kind of flow together.
Yeah.
But like, I was gonna save kind of my praise for both of these actors playing off of each other for the protagonist part. But yeah, like both Daniel Day-Lewis, as always, is an incredible actor. Just falls into any character role that he plays, and this movie is no different. It's really good. He is 100% Reynolds, James, whatever the hell his middle name is, Woodcock. Jeremiah, sure. Johnson.
Jeremiah was a dressmaker, sure.
Johnson Woodcock. But sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Cool.
What is her? Vicky
Krieps,
who plays Alma. I think she also does a fantastic job.
I think she held her own really well. Yeah.
Plays off of him. They play off of each other so well. The dinner scene where they're arguing, where she does like the surprise dinner for him, is so. The dialogue in that is so strange because they just kind of like she just kind of makes a bunch of nonsense sounds and like, but her acting in it is so solid that you like believe that this is just like an off the cuff argument that they're having.
She's so frustrated she can't get her words out.
Right.
She's so
stunned. He's so childish that he's just cutting her off at every time.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a really well portrayed scene. I agree. It was one of the highlights. And so I agree with everything you said, that they both played off each other, had a lot of chemistry on screen, and the relationship was very, like I said, rounded out and very believable. So I think they both got a pretty strong one, at least from me.
Yeah.
And maybe from all of us.
Yep. Same here.
All right, Scott, sorry, I'm skipping over you.
Well, yep, I made my speech about antagonists, and we all just talked about it, so.
So we're going to supporting, which... Cecil. Or Cecil.
Cyril.
Cyril.
Damn my poor handwriting.
He was poisoned by mushrooms, folks, so he can't read his own handwriting.
Cyril is... There's only really 3 characters in this.
Yeah.
And...
3 characters that matter.
Yeah. And
almost everyone is basically nameless.
Set dressing as well. Gone.
Sorry.
I said perhaps the woman who gets her dress stripped off counts, but like for a kind of plot reason. But
she's a caricature character for sure.
No, certainly. But Cyril, it is so believable as Woodcock's sister, and the fact that she both relies on him, but in the sisterly way knows how to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And like in that one scene where she goes like don't you put your cloud on me.
I will destroy you.
You're not getting off that floor when I'm done with you.
Yeah.
It's so good to see someone who has the ability to stand up to R.J. Woodcock. Because most people won't.
I love how every time she verbally smacks him down, like the camera cuts to him, like kind of slightly past her.
Yeah.
Just like...
Yeah, like cringing up. Exactly.
Pouting slightly.
Yeah. No, like I think I was going to say something like she's a very good handler of him. Like clearly, like again, I bought their relationship as brother and sister for a long time, being partners in the business and designing dresses and like knowing what they're doing. But also like personally, she knows him very well. So therefore, and she knows like she is definitely more grounded, if you will, like less eccentric. So she knows how to handle
but
various
just
situations.
Eccentric enough.
Yeah.
Did she?
I'm not saying she isn't eccentric.
Did you remind anybody else of? I don't know why this popped into my head, but Judi Dench as M in Bond.
Okay, all right.
No.
It kind of reminded me of
Didn't,
that type of role.
I didn't think that
I don't
during the
know
film,
why.
Steve-O, but I can see it.
Well, she has an authority to her.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like Judi Dench slapping Bond down, like putting him in his place. Like that was what those scenes reminded me.
No,
of.
I get you though. I can see it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So she was a very important character to the narrative. I think this movie would be less if she wasn't in there.
Exactly.
And
you need that middleman between
I was
Alma and...
I was going back and forth on this one. I wasn't sure I was going to give it a 1, but I really do like Cyril a lot. I forget what the actress.
Don't have her
is,
name in front of me, but she was very good.
I liked her portrayal a lot, and she does portray that authority that's very important, and she also has just as much on-screen chemistry with Daniel Day-Lewis, I think, as Vicky Creeps. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Crepes.
Does.
Creeps.
VK.
VK. And between the two of them, they also have a couple great scenes where the scene where Woodcock flips out, and then they're like perfectly nice to each other, even though they're both furious at the time. You tell like that'll be all okay, very well, and then they walk away. It's like you two are pleasant to each other, or whatever the hell he says. Is that
picture
was a
politeness
great
or
scene.
something?
Yeah, you're right. Like I agree. I was gonna.
So I have to give her credit. I have to give supporting credit just for her,
even though she's basically the only one. Like all their characters are basically props, as I said. But she was a very strong secondary character and a very important one. And I think, as Rich has said, or one of you did, that the film would have been less if she wasn't there as a character. She's a very solid role. So I'm giving her 1.
Yeah.
Okay, Rich, on to you for dialogue.
A lot of the dialogue in this movie was very natural. Like I had a hard time figuring out if like some either most or some was ad-libbed because I think the actors just dove in really well with it.
I'm pretty sure it was all not because of Paul Thomas Anderson. I think it's very structured about his. I don't think he wrote this film. I'm pretty sure as well, written and directed by him. But yeah, natural is like probably the perfect descriptor of it.
Like you said, like the like Steve was talking about the dinner scene where they're both arguing with each other, but it's like a realistic arguing where they don't have like nobody's really saying
Nobody's
what
got a zinger set up to like come back with. They're just
it's like they're talking over each other.
Yeah,
it's messy and it's like they're just like right. So I mean I agree. It's very organic and like I said, it goes a long way to selling the relationship. And that plus the portrayal, as we just said, of the actors themselves. It's all very it makes sense and believable in every single situation.
I do like the how Alma and Woodcock had a kind of tete-a-tete with their insults.
Yeah.
Like her initially sheepishly, I guess, like kind of testing the waters.
Yeah.
But like immediately calling him out on his fake strength.
Yeah.
So she basically called him a boy the first night that they spent together.
On his facade of presenting strength, sure. You're right, that's a good call.
I think I found the dialogue in this movie to be very strong. I thought that the writing was really good. Especially in like conversations and things like that. But almost as important as what's said in this movie are the silences that come between what is being said, and they are so
the cracking facade.
They're all pregnant with meaning.
Yes.
Which is like a phrase that I almost never want to say, but it works so perfectly in this. Like,
I think in this it's very apt.
Yeah,
I agree.
I was going to give it a 0 until you made that point. And I don't really have a really good... I don't have a good reason why I was going to give it a 0, aside from the fact that perhaps at a certain point I lost interest in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at my phone a few times.
You bastard.
To see the time.
You uncouth motherfucker.
No. But...
There's nobody behind us.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
I know.
Would have affected another
I'm just busting your balls. Go on.
experience.
Go on.
Nonetheless, you're right. Like, there's a subtlety to it, and that is good. So, in the name of objectivity, I'm going to give it a 1, even though subjectively I want to give it a 0.
Fair enough. Now you sort of like that's probably one of the best points you made, and I was going to save that for style. I was going to try to make that point in style, but I think like you have to bring it up. That as you said, almost as important as the things that are being said are the silences between it, and I think he does a masterful job of like having them there and just they're sort of hanging in the air, like thick with tension, just enough but not overwrought. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, so, Stephen, it's time for you to have some fun. With
one.
Are you one for dialogue as well? Sorry. Style for me?
Yes.
The style is far and away the best part of this film. You know, you expect nothing less from a Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
And he delivers.
You expect nothing less from, like, Daniel Day-Lewis, you know, just delivering a performance of this kind. The sound scapes that are created in this movie are incredible. And, you know, even if you just focus on the score is amazing. There's so much really good music, but there's so many scenes of just quiet as well that create this like flowing sense to this movie. The cinematography is out of this world. Just really, really, really good. There's so many scenes that are going to be that I think are going to be like stuck in my head. I really liked how they're framed, how they look. There's a scene where like people come like on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Damn it, I was going to talk about that one.
People come like dancing back in. Yeah. There's so much to this film,
style-wise,
stylistically, that I'll leave it off there. I've said the things that I definitely wanted to say, and I'll let you guys talk. And if there's anything left,
do you want to go off that? Was that the New Year's scene that you were talking about? I want to go off of that one. Like when he walks in, or when he decides to leave and go to meet up with Alma. Like, I love how his music does not stop playing, despite the fact that you can still hear, like, Auld Lang Syne and everything else going on.
I noticed that, too.
And, like, I was waiting for it to peter out, but it got stronger the closer he got to her. Until finally that's all you hear anymore. Before he just, like, snatches her off the floor.
Yeah, it was a standout scene for sure, and I'm glad you guys both brought it up. And, of course, as you said, Steve, like, if you know a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, you're expecting, like, a great style, and this is no exception. Yeah, I guess I would say my angle on it is that I usually do cinematography, like, first and foremost in style, and that similar to, like, the dialogue versus the silence kind of thing, there's, like, open, epic, sweeping shots, and then, like, claustrophobic shots. Like, the house is somewhat claustrophobic. People are, like, having to walk past each other, narrow stairwells, things like that. Like, I was always hallways and doorways that people are having, like very tightly pass each other by. So I like that. That was a good juxtaposition, so I noticed that a lot. And definitely, like you said, the ballroom, the New Year's thing. There's a couple other scenes like that, the dinner scene as well. Even the later dinner scene when she makes the poison mushroom fillet or whatever it was, like souffle, whatever it was.
An omelet.
Yeah. So, like, all that, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to expect. Like, I'm going to give style a very strong 1. Like you said, probably the easiest and strongest question to give it a 1 to.
Costume design. It needed to be because this is about a designer, but this was very, very impressive.
I'm actually going to snatch one of his looks. Like when he goes and has his bath and then comes back in his pajamas, but he throws on like a vest,
blazer,
a blazer, and ascot.
Yeah. That's like a Hugh Hefner thing to do, yeah. Good call. But costume design,
it needed to be perfect, and it was perfect. So again, this is the strongest 1 I can give. Probably the most stylistic movie I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
But
sure.
I'll give it a 1 as well.
I'm officially giving it a 1 if I haven't made it clear.
All right, Scott, recommendation.
All right, now this is a tough one for me because as we just discussed, this is a very good movie. It's well done. It's technically, in like all senses of the word, well done. It's just, I knew this going into it, and like you said, trying to be objective about it. It's a good movie, yes, do not get me wrong. But I don't know if I, myself, would personally recommend it. And if we're talking just about the Oscar films, like, I would never have seen this film if it wasn't in the Oscar nominations. Like, if it dropped off the list or wasn't nominated, I'd be like, yeah, oh well, like, I'm never going to see it. Like, I don't really have interest in it. But since we did see it, it's difficult because, again, I'm not saying it's a bad film. In fact, it's a quite good film, having seen it. But would I say, like, see probably 5 or 6 other of the actual noms before this? Yes, I would. So it's tough. Or I'd say maybe pick another Paul Thomas Anderson film and see that one instead. Because, you know, like, I don't know. I'm looking at like a default 0, and I admit fully that it's my bias sort of like against like this kind of story. Like, for example, I think the first year we started doing Oscar films, I didn't end up seeing Brooklyn all the way through. Something went wrong or like whatever. Like, I just never watched it all the way through, and I never looked back. So again, if I'd never seen this film, I don't think I'd be thinking I was missing anything. But I do think it's a strong and good film. If you're into it, you're going to like it. If you're into this kind of stuff, like, it's almost like I was going to say this like earlier. It's like a Jane Austen like kind of story, like, in a sense, right? And if you like that kind of stuff, then it's a really well done one. Just really not for me personally. So I don't know if I would recommend it. I would probably say, like I said, see 3 Billboards, see even The Big Sick, which didn't even make it into the noms, although we did the other week. See a couple of other films on this.
That's a better romance.
Yeah, and that's a better romance. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's a difficult one for me. So I'll end there. I'll open up to you guys. Make a case or not. Go for it.
You know what this movie reminds me of? Nocturnal Animals.
Really?
I don't know. I just have this like kind of like comparison in my head or feeling. I thought it was a good movie, as you said. Like, or stylistically, it's a good movie. If you're into that, yeah, you're absolutely right, Scott. Like, but I don't know if I could recommend this, so I'm not. So.
I had no intention of ever watching this movie, like Scott said, and then I guess we ended up reviewing it for this, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
sure,
Daniel Day-Lewis batted out of the park, but I don't know who I would recommend this to.
That's what I'm saying, right? Kind of, yeah.
I'd recommend it to Steve-O.
I have a long list of people that I would recommend this to. Not a long list, but I have a list of people that I recommend this to. Look, if you want to go watch an action movie that came out last year, this is not for you. go watch Baby Driver, or like
Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde would be a good one, or go watch Wonder Woman, or even fucking Justice League. That
Yeah. Hey,
Thor.
Hey.
Go watch Thor.
Let's not get crazy.
But
oh yeah, Thor would be better. If you are looking for an art house flick with a big budget and like one of the best
big name,
like
actors, yeah.
one of the best skills-wise, technical directors of our time, then yeah, this is a great movie. It's full of style. It's bursting with it. There are definitely a lot of people that I would recommend this to. It certainly depends on what your taste, what your tastes are in movies, what kind of flicks you enjoy. But you know, it is kind of like a romance movie with a twist, and you know, a director who is known for making artistic films. So,
Something you are recommending?
I am going to recommend it.
Fair enough.
And I mean, I guess that's all I have to say about that. Is everybody else a 0?
Yeah,
but-
like I said, like I'm just sort of a soft default 0, and as I said, just to reiterate, in no way this is a bad film. In fact, as Rich said, we both enjoyed it more than we thought going into it. It's just that I would not personally recommend it. I would recommend other Oscar films and other films from the same director beyond it. So
I give the scores. Steve-O, you give it a 9. Highest score. Rich and Scott, you both give it an 8. And back in his role as curmudgeon,
R.J. Woodcock himself.
Jonathan Ian with a 7, giving an overall score of an 8.
I think that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
It's actually higher than I thought I was going to rate this coming in.
Sure.
But you made some good points. Anyway, I'm Jonathan Ian Manser, here with Rich Perry.
Keep the thread alive.
Steve DeVossi.
Good night.
And Scott Thoreau.
And I'm off to go find some poison mushrooms. See you next time.
Editing and engineering by Jonathan Ian Manser. Music by Christopher Morgan. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates.